Cyberpunk 2077 has seen a resurgence in the past month following the release of the much anticipated 2.0 update and the Phantom Liberty expansion. For more details about all of that, check out our How Cyberpunk Was Saved video that I did last month, where I go over the history of the game from its disastrous launch to its highly praised comeback. Now, I know I'm late to the party, but I am finally able to and here to review my experience with pretty much 100%ing the base game and the expansion, giving you my opinion and overall rating of the game. There may be some potential spoilers here, so be warned, though I'll try to avoid them as best as possible. For context, I had attempted to play the game at launch multiple times, getting through a large chunk of the early game gigs, but not too far into the story, just after the heist, I'd say, and I was just plagued by bugs and other issues that halted my progress, and well, it led me to set it aside and in the hopes that we would see an overhaul. And that time has now arrived, so I won't be judging the game on its past. This review is solely my experience of 2.0 and the expansion. I've made my thoughts on the original release very clear, and I want to look at this as a clean slate of sorts. For this review, I did pretty much everything the game had to offer, going as far as to seeing every ending in both the base game and the expansion, as well as collecting every trophy for both on the PS5, and I attempted every single side quest that popped up for me, some were very delayed, but I'll get into that. I just want to start this by talking about any glitches, bugs, or any other issues I experienced on the technical side throughout my 100 hours or so of overall game time. It was a near perfect experience all around. I had around 3 crashes through my playthrough. None of them were detrimental to my experience, and only a few minutes of game time was lost in those moments. I had one during the DLC, but when I was clearing up, and all I missed was an airdrop that I'd completed just beforehand, but it was nothing pretty much. And it's also nothing I haven't experienced from any other game on the PlayStation in the past. Other than that, nothing really of note occurred. Some slight delays in receiving side gigs, which I managed to fix by completing some NCPD scanner hustles rather than just waiting the time out, but that's really it. Now let's get into the meat of the game, the thing I want to talk about the most, the story and the gameplay, but we'll get to the gameplay after. Cyberpunk 2077 has one of the best stories in gaming, and adding the expansion onto that, it's just a masterpiece. Both the base game and the expansion are a lesson to developers out there about how important storytelling can be. Every ending was emotional, depressing at times, but expertly crafted. And while a lot of the decisions in the game didn't exactly have much of an effect on what ending you got, well, in most cases, they were still impactful and were excellent for role-playing purposes, and I won't go into too much detail about each ending, you should experience that for yourself, but my favourite by far was the Nomad ending. The characters in this game are absolutely incredible, and in some cases, breathtaking. Keanu Reeves as Johnny Silverhand was a phenomenal choice. I've said this before, I'm pretty sure, but the case still stands. And many of the other side characters are fantastic as well. Big props to the voices of V in the game too. I played as male V, so my experience was solely of that, but as main characters go, it was one of the best performances in video games for me. A lot of emotion went into the dialogue in this game, and it's really felt. I want to also give a big round of applause to the character work in the DLC too. Everyone was on their A game, from Somi to Solomon Reed, and I have to say, Idris Elba was a fantastic choice for the role of Solomon Reed. Just amazing all around. Now, the story of Phantom Liberty, which was also incredible and at times on par with or even exceeding that of the base game. While very bleak, the endings for the DLC were fantastic, and the ending it brought to the base game as well, I didn't think was nearly as bad as everyone else made it out to be. It was really depressing, but I think it was really cyberpunk, that's how I will describe it. And I also want to point out that the endings in the DLC, it was one of the hardest choices I've ever had to make in a game. I did not know, until I played all of them, which one I preferred the most. My canon playthrough might not even be the one that I preferred the most, but it's the one I went with. The mission variety in the DLC was also great, and I think definitely excelled in that regard compared to the base game. The two final mission paths are two of the best in the game altogether, and I recommend anyone who wants to play the game to experience both of those paths in the expansion. Now for the gameplay itself, Cyberpunk 2077 it's just a really fun game to play. There are multiple gameplay styles to build your character as, with the new and improved perk system that came with 2.0. I went with a fast katana wielding ninja style build, and I utilised the Sandevistan cyberware, which kind of slows down time, and I was able to wipe out my enemies before they even knew what hit them. So yeah, I loved every second of it. And I also built my class to focus on the use of shotguns and pistols to deal damage at different ranges if I wanted to go that route. I know others like to go for the more netrunner orientated experience, you know, being able to hack cameras, distract enemies, make grenades explode. Just there's a lot of options in this game. Some people also like to just go in guns blazing like a normal shooter, and that's totally fine. The options on hand are great, and they're perfect for the scenario the game sets you in. The side content in Cyberpunk also deserves to be applauded. There's so much of it, but it's mostly incredible, and some of the best moments in the game come from some of the side storylines and characters you meet within them. While I could probably do without all of the NCPD hustles, and maybe there are a few too many fixer gigs along the way, they were usually quick, and some of them were exceptional, especially in the DLC. All of the gigs there were fantastic. I can't fault the effort CD Projekt Red put into crafting the content in this game. It's just crazy. It's great. I also want to credit the devs on the world that is Night City. While exploring the city, doing side gigs and searching out hustles, I really came to marvel at how delicately crafted the world is. It's maybe the best city in video games, and I know that's saying a lot, but just based on visuals alone. While other games may have more dynamic open world moments, such as the way Red Dead Redemption 2 handles its open world, there's just something about Night City that leaves me in awe. I would also be amiss if I did not mention the incredible soundtrack for this game and the expansion. The music made a lot of the moments in the game just that bit more special. The expansion's credit song was also phenomenal and gave me almost James Bond, I guess, vibes, theme song vibes that is, and I really encourage everyone to play the game just to experience the soundtrack alone. Of course, that's not a huge selling point for a lot of people, but for me, it just made the experience way better. So that sums up my opinion of the important parts of the game, I'd say, without going into too much detail, well, spoilery detail, and I want everyone to really dive into this game for themselves, just knowing they're in for a great time without being spoiled that much. Now, how would I rate the game and the expansion overall? For me, Cyberpunk 2077 2.0 and Phantom Liberty are straight up a 10 out of 10. There's not much I can criticize here to not give it a 10 out of 10. It's one of my favorite games in recent memory, and it's made even better by a phenomenal expansion. Something CD Projekt Red do really well is expansions, so I had high hopes and I was not disappointed. There are incredible performances throughout this game, and an entertaining game loop that left me coming back for more after weeks of playing. If you've played the game, let me know in the comments what you think and how you'd rate it. If you haven't, I highly recommend diving in when you get a chance. It's a very busy time in gaming with many great titles releasing now, yet somehow Cyberpunk has been my favourite experience of them all so far. Thanks for watching, let us know what you'd like to see in the comments, let us know, like I said, what you thought of Cyberpunk and any of the other games that are coming out currently or already released, and we might make a video on them soon, so stay tuned.
You're breathtaking! I am a grave in the way, whether 22 or the 38, that is 60 ways for you to die. Best to call your bitch and go get